Hey everybody, Cynical Manor here, and today we're in the F5 Tiger 2. As you can hear, we have the nice sounds of Halloween in the background and the pumpkins on the ground out there. We're going to jump with the cockpit and show you how to get this thing started and take off. Taxi and take off, rather. Alright, so I'm going to go quick here so we can get the canopy shut so we don't have to hear this music. I've tried to play with it and try to cut it off, but apparently I can't seem to figure it out. But first thing we're going to do, we're going to the F10 menu, or our communications menu rather. Go to ground air supply, and we're going to say connect.
Chief, connect ground air supply.
Copy. Ground air supply is now connected.
Alright. Once that's connected, we're going to go down here to the bottom right panel. And you'll see the battery switch, left generator, and right generator. We're going to turn those on. We're going to go up here to the boost pumps. We're going to turn the left and the right on. And if you have an external tank, you would leave these off. This would be the center tank. This would be the pylons. Leave those off on the start. We don't have any tanks on board today. Normally, I start it because it's DCS. I start it with my tank on, so I can go ahead and burn that up first. And then go from there, but and I think the guide says to leave this in the auto, but I'm gonna put it over to the left. Now this is on the auto balance on the fuel. If you look at the fuel gauge, you'll notice the right tank is fuller than the left tank, and that's because the right tank is bigger. So if we put it over to the left side, it actually will catch up and auto balance out with the left. Once it catches, it'll go back to the auto balance center position by itself. So now that we got the power on, what we're going to do is we're going to go up here and we're going to tell ground crew to go ahead and apply that air supply. So you go back to apply air supply and then hit apply.
Apply ground air supply.
Copy.
And just going to start the left engine first. When it gets to about, oh, my track R is going to go crazy here. Zoom rather. When it gets to about 14 or so, we're going to go ahead and hit the left starter button, which is down here on the left. Hit that button and go right alt and home and introduce fuel, and that engine should come on alive. And you'll see this tack out here and then it'll come back around. I think it comes back on about 50% or so. And while that's coming online, we'll go ahead and throw our beacon on. Turn out our exterior nav lights. So if we look outside the aircraft, we have some flashing lights. Okay, that engine's online. So we're going to go to ground crew again, ground air supply, and hit apply again. And he'll apply to the right engine.
Copy. Air is now applied.
Same thing when that hits about 14 or so. We'll hit the starter button, right shift and home, and our introduce fuel, and you come off that starter button and I'll go ahead and spin the engine over. I'm gonna go ahead and shut the canopy at this point. Shut that up. And if you notice down here on our panel, we just have one light, and that's the right generator. That's because the engine's pulling up. As soon as that comes up and is fully on, you see the light goes away. Alright, and then we can clear the caution. Go ahead and tell ground crew to disconnect that air supply.
Chief, connect ground air supply.
I hit the wrong thing there.
Copy.
Chief, disconnect ground air supply.
Ground air supply
Disconnect
is now connected. Copy. Ground air supply is now disconnected.
Alright, so that's disconnected. Alright, so starting from the right hand side, we're going to work our way over this way and then back. You're going to go over here and you're going to turn on your oxygen. Okay, you're going to come up and we're going to turn our pitot heat on. Generally we wouldn't turn that on just yet, maybe in the air as needed, but I just go ahead and turn it on anyway. Excuse me, I got a little bit of a cough. We're going to go over here and we're going to turn our radio on, the main, and we'll turn the volume up there. And then we'll go over and we'll set our ADI. You're just going to mouse wheel on this upwards and set it as desired. Okay, and then our altimeter, we're going to go, there's two ways here. You can go pneumatic or electric. We're going to go electric till the flag goes away. And then I like to adjust it to ground setting. Alright. This is all your weapons and jettisons and things like that. We're not going to get into that today. That'll be another video. So if we look down here at the left hand panel, we're going to go over here. We're going to turn on our chafe and flare. I'm going to turn them to single because that's where I like them. There is a program or multiple. I just use single. I think it only holds like 15 flares and 30 chaff, I think. Then when you want to make sure your dampeners are on, these will only come on if one engine is fully running. So if you're trying to turn those on before you get the engine up and running, they're not going to work. Okay, we're going to turn the radar over to standby. I like to adjust the range to about 20. If you notice on the outside of the aircraft, before we get to the next section, you will see that the speed brakes are down position, or out position. So we're going to go ahead, this black switch here, I've got it bound to my joystick. I'm going to go ahead and turn those off. And this lever here is your flap lever. I put it on auto. That's 2 clicks back. And if you notice now, the flaps indicator says we're on full. Okay, so that's just about everything ready to go. There's 2 things left we need to do. One we'll do it now, and the other we'll do it when we get on the runway there. So in this little section here, this is your trim section. A trim indicator, I'm going to raise that up to about 6 degrees. Now we're empty today, so I could probably take off with 5, but we're going to go to 6 just for good measure. If you're really heavy, 7 degrees. And I did forget to turn on the RWR, so this is the power button here. Just click that on, and it'll take a little while to cycle up. And you have your audio and your dim switch here as well. Generally, what I do is I put it on search and leave it there. Alright, so I think everything is good to go. We'll go ahead and turn on our taxi light there. And you can see everything is ready to roll on the outside of the aircraft. Now if you notice that our auxiliary intake doors are open, they do open automatically when the engine starts. Once we get up in the air, they'll close off. Or I think it's after a certain speed or something like that, but they do close themselves off. Not something you will need to worry about. Now when you taxi this aircraft, there is a nose wheel button for nose wheel steering. But you have to hold that in order to turn. So you can use your rudders all you want to. You can use those guys there, but it's not going to turn unless you hold that nose wheel steering button. So we're going to go ahead and apply a little power. It doesn't take much. Go ahead and taxi here. And we're going to turn to the right, holding the nose wheel steering button, and we're turning. And we're just going to taxi down to the runway. And then we'll let off. You want to make sure you're straight, because wherever you leave that nose wheel steering, she does tend to keep going that way. Let's take a look at the aircraft here. And you see she's off just a little bit. That's because, like I said, that nose wheel steering gets wonky. Look at all these nice little pumpkins out here. Hey, little jack-o'-lantern, how you doing? So we're going to go on down here, probably next turn in, taxiway there. Or actually, that is the runway, so I'm sorry. We got to turn it that one back there if that's okay. Now, generally I don't turn this stuff on, or I do turn this stuff on. This is just, it's not necessary. This is your missiles. Like if you had missiles on board, you turn that on, your gun sights, things like that. But we're not going to be using those today. I'll explain those in different videos on bombing and rockets and things like that. Alright, so let's get on down here. We'll turn on the taxiway here, and I'll explain a few other things. Alright, take a left here on the taxiway. I'm cutting it short just a little bit here. You can see our flaps are fully down. And that's because we've got them in auto. You don't have to fly with it in auto, but I've found, like, if you're in a turn fight with another aircraft and this thing can get slow fast, especially on a deck, auto will save your butt more than anything. Not will it save you, but it helps, especially once she gets down to low speed, because it'll drop those flaps for you. Alright, so we're going to come to a full stop here. And there's one last thing we got to do before we get... We're not going to get clearance, but if we had to get clearance, before we get clearance, this little switch right here is our nose strut. I'm going to go ahead and throw that switch out. You can notice our aircraft raising up there. I'll go ahead and flip it back down. Alright, so that's without the nose strut. And then we push the nose strut. See the aircraft pitch up. And that's just so we can get more flow under the wings for takeoff. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and give her about 90% of power. Once she gets rolling here. And then full power. So at about 180 knots or so, we'll go ahead and take off. Probably less than that since we're empty today. We'll go gears up. And you notice she wants to go to the sky, so we're going to pull that trim down. Not all the way, but pretty close. I'm just going to pop out a burner here. There we go. So we're about 80% thrust or so there. And that's it. We're flying. And you do have to kind of get used to the trim on this thing. But yeah, she's a great plane. Flies really well. I'll be honest with you. I was struggling on servers, at the Cold War servers, with this with aircraft in general, getting kills. But I jumped in the F5, and it's like a gateway open for me. It really helped me to start learning how to find aircraft and kill them and take them out. So hopefully that's helpful for to help you get going here and learn how to use the F5. We'll start her up. Don't forget to like, subscribe, send me some comments, talk to me, tell me what you want to see, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.